has different views about what matters with manifestation and what will help you manifest and what won't. And it was a trend at some point to talk about nervous system regulation. And now, as trends tend to do, the tides have turned. And now everybody's saying that you don't need to regulate your nervous system. This is something I talk about a lot on my channel, and I find it is extremely important, and I'll tell you why. A lot of the people who say this on YouTube are people who are working with extremely high earners. People like Neuroknowledge, for example, has said that nervous system regulation is not important to manifest. But the thing to remember is that Neuroknowledge works with 7-8-figure earners. Now, those people definitely have stress in their lives. I'm not saying they don't. They do not have the same kind of stress that the average person might have. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are working a shitty job that you hate, you are living paycheck to paycheck, you are working 3 jobs and you still can't afford your rent, you will never be able to own a home on your current salary, you can barely afford your car, work is draining the life out of you, and you have very little support in your personal life. That is a survival level stress. That is your livelihood. That is the difference between you being homeless or not. That is a very real survival base level need, and it is being threatened. And it doesn't matter how relaxed you get in a meditation or in a visualization. Your body, your mind is not fucking stupid. It will know that you're lying to yourself. It will not forget the fact that you still can't afford your rent. It will not forget the fact that you've got bills to pay and you have negative money on your account. It's not going to just forget that. And the more you try to push past it, the more it's going to fight you in order to draw your attention back to the problem of your basic survival level needs not being met. That is a very different kind of stress to the kind of stress that these 7-8-figure earners are experiencing. Those people are not experiencing a survival level stress. They are experiencing a different kind of stress that is more so about maybe performance or leveling up their productivity in some kind of way. That is not a survival level stress. Those people can afford to have a roof over their head. Those people can afford to take vacations whenever they want. Those people are not tied to a shitty 9-to-5 or working 3 jobs that barely pay them anything. People are in a very, very different position. So maybe they don't need nervous system regulation. Maybe they don't need to focus on that. The average person who is in fight or flight constantly and is constantly activated definitely does. You know, a lot of people are teaching from their own experience. So I get that if you never had to focus on that, then you might feel like it's not important. For the majority of people, especially now with the current climate, the current economy, people are under a lot of stress. And this stress is not just kind of a little bit of fear here and there because you've got a presentation. This is like, I can't afford to feed my family. I've been laid off from my job that I thought was stable and I have a mortgage to pay level stress. This is the job market fucking sucks and I've been unemployed for a year kind of stress. This is not the same as what a 7-8-figure earner is experiencing. And that's okay. They are 2 different kinds of people, 2 different kinds of problems, 2 different kinds of solutions. That also doesn't mean that these 7-8-figure earners won't benefit from any nervous system regulation. They definitely would, because they are also human beings. But to say that you don't need to regulate your nervous system, to say that it's not important and it's just a trend, I think is wildly incorrect. And I'm not bashing Nero, I just think he has a very different frame of reference that doesn't take into account the average person. But most of the time, I 100% agree with what he's saying. I think he's forgetting that, and this is something a lot of people who go from nothing to, you know, a really successful person, they kind of forget what it's like being at the bottom and just how challenging it can be to actually make these changes when you're in the trenches. And this is something that I help people do, because trust me, I have been there and I know what is bullshit and what isn't. I've been somebody who has been working a shitty job and still can't afford shit, okay? Been somebody who's been unemployed for a long period of time and has been stressed to fuck about money. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to feel like you're trying everything, you're following all of the advice, you're doing all of the methods, the techniques, you've taken courses, you've taken ebooks, you've done all the stuff that these big channels tell you to do, and you still can't get anywhere. You still can't seem to push past this invisible barrier. It feels like you're blocked at every turn. You can't seem to move forward no matter what you do. I understand how that feels because I have lived it. What got me through that was not a few deep breaths and some affirmations. Sorry to burst your bubble here, but survival level stress just doesn't respond to that. It's something a bit more. I currently offer one-to-one sessions where we work through exactly this. If you would like to finally exit survival mode and start actually manifesting the things that you want, instead of just stumbling around not knowing what works and what doesn't, then click the link below to work with me one-to-one. We'll work together what's holding you back and get you out of survival mode so that you can finally start manifesting the life that you want. Click the link below to book your session.